Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Comedy this hour, Ozzie-Nelson and Harriet-Hiliard, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, from 71 years ago, April 25th, 1952, Too Much Change. Have you ever had that problem where you get the wrong change? Yeah, that's the problem that Ozzie encounters today. Thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday, 25th day of April, 115th day of the year. We have 250 days remaining until we get to 2024. Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, published on this date in 1719. French national anthem, composed on this date in 1792. Ground broken for the Suez Canal in 1859. The U.S. declared war on Spain in 1898, beginning the Spanish-American War. New York became the first state to require automobile license plates in 1901. In 1944, the United Negro College Fund Incorporated. 1945, 50 nations gathered in San Francisco to begin the UN Conference on International Organizations.
The Conference of the United Nations on International Organization is now convened.
U.S. diplomat Alger Hiss, who would later be accused of being a Soviet spy. Now the convention resulted in the creation of the United Nations Charter. As North Vietnamese forces closed in on the South Vietnamese capital Saigon, the Australian embassy closed and evacuated, almost 10 years to the day since the first Australian troop commitment to South Vietnam. Meanwhile, in 1982, Israel completed its withdrawal from the Sinai Peninsula per the Camp David Accords. In 1983, American schoolgirl Samantha Smith, invited to visit the Soviet Union by its leader Yuri Andropov after he read her letter in which she expressed fear about nuclear war. 1988, in Israel, John Demanjanjuk, sentenced to death for war crimes committed in World War II. In 1989, James Richardson, freed from a Florida prison 21 years after being wrongfully convicted for the murder of his 7 children. And in 2001, President George W. Bush pledged U.S. military support in the event of a Chinese attack on Taiwan, a policy which should still stand today. Passing away on this date in history, actor George Sanders, also game show host Art Fleming, Ginger Rogers, David Merrick, rapper Lisa Left Eye Lopez, also the man behind the Monster Mash, Bobby Pickett, or Bobby Boris Pickett, depending on how you want to bill him. From Maude, B. Arthur, and Golden Girls as well, passing away on this date, and actress-singer Dorothy Provine. Born on this date in history, Tchaikovsky, the composer, also the inventor Marconi, also journalist Edward R. Murrow, singer Ella Fitzgerald, TV personality and radio personality Robert Q. Lewis, also musician Albert King, and basketball player Meadowlark Lemon. Actor Al Pacino is 83 today. From Rocky, Talia Shire is 77. From The Simpsons, Hank Azaria is 59. From Firefly and Suits, Gina Torres is 54. From Bridget Jones' Diary and Chicago, Renee Zellweger, also 54 today. From My Name is Earl, Jason Lee, 53. And from The Last House on the Left, Sarah Paxton, 35. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 25th day of April is their birthday. If this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And from 71 years ago today, April 25th, 1952, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet and Too Much Change. Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. Now on this Tuesday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we go back 71 years. April 25th, 1952, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet.
Hi, everybody. This is Harriet-Nelson. Here's a word of advice to all mothers. Do you have trouble getting your boys to come to lunch on time? Well, here's something that works great at our house. David, Ricky, first call for lunch. We're having Heinz cream of tomato soup. Here we are, Mom. See what I mean?
You know it's good because it's Heinz. The H.J. Heinz Company, makers of 57 varieties of fine foods for over 80 years, present the amusing transcribed adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, starring the entire Nelson family, Ozzie, Harriet, David, and Ricky. Let's look in at the Nelson household and see what they have on tap for us this week. I don't see Ozzie and Harriet anyplace, but there's David and Ricky. And David stretched out on the floor taking it easy, and Ricky seems to be reading the funnies to him.
Then in the last box, the captain says, "Und now gives a good spanking for pulling the inspector's beard."
And what is Rollo saying?
Ha, ha, ha.
Now read me Terry and the Pirates.
Oh, come on, David. Read them yourself.
Don't be so ungrateful. I used to read them to you, didn't I?
Yeah, but that was before I could read. Besides, I have to make out my report.
What report?
We have a club meeting tonight. I'm the treasurer.
Big deal. What do you need a treasurer for? You kids don't have any money.
That's how much you know about it.
How much you got in the treasury?
We got plenty, boy.
I'll bet.
We got it hid in a swell place, too, boy. You'll never find it.
Who wants it? Where is it?
I'm not allowed to tell. It's a club secret.
Okay, who wants to know anyway?
It was my idea. It's a neat one, too, boy.
Oh, hiya, fellas.
Hi, Pop.
Hiya, Pop. I might as well tell you, because you're going to find it out pretty soon anyway.
What's this?
Well, I'm treasurer of our club.
Big deal.
Oh, good for you.
I'm the only treasurer, too.
The only treasurer? How many presidents do you have?
8.
8 presidents?
Sure. And 6 vice presidents, 4 secretaries, and 2 ghoulies.
What are ghoulies?
Well, it's a thing we made up. When we got through with the election, there were 2 members that weren't elected to anything. So we made up that they were ghoulies.
Oh, that sounds like a good idea. Every member of the club's an officer, huh?
Yeah, but I'm the only treasurer.
Well, that's quite an honor.
Thanks, Pop.
I'd rather be a ghoulie.
I don't know about that, David. Being treasurer of a club's a big responsibility.
Oh, Pop.
Yes, it is. Shows that the other members of Ricky's club have a great deal of respect for him. Means that they trust him and consider him better qualified than anybody else for the responsibility of the position.
And besides, nobody else wanted the job. Hey, you fellas had better hurry up.
Okay, Mom. Come on, moneybags.
Okay, David. Cut the shoving.
So long.
So long.
Bye, boys.
Goodbye, boys.
What was the big discussion about?
Yeah, Rick was telling me about some club he's in. Seems they've elected him treasurer.
Oh, speaking of treasurer, I have to run downtown for a few things. Do you have any money?
Money? Yeah, let's see.
You took $10 yesterday. Did you spend all of it, or don't you know?
Well, Harriet, I don't like the implications of that remark. I may act like I'm careless with money and look like I'm careless with money, and some people may think I'm careless with money. And you know why?
Because you're careless with money?
No, because I've always got it figured out in my head. I don't have to keep figuring and adding all the time. I know just how much money I've got in my pocket right now.
I believe you. I wasn't...
No, go ahead. Ask me how much I've got in my pocket.
But I told you...
Go ahead, ask me.
How much money have you got in your pocket right now?
Thought you'd catch me, didn't you? Wait a second, I'll figure it out. 3 and 5, that's 8 and 10 and 20. Exactly 38 cents.
Is that all you have, 38 cents?
Yeah, there it is. 20, 30, 35, 37. No, that's right, I weighed myself.
37 cents left out of $10. What'd you buy, an automobile?
No, it so happens I can explain every penny.
No, I was only kidding.
No, wait a minute, I'd rather. Now, let's see. First I went to the garage and had the car filled up with gas. That was 3.5.
6.5 to go.
Then I met Thorny. That cost me about $1.50. 2 cheese sandwiches, 2 chocolate malteds, 2 pieces of pie, and the check was under my plate. I think I was framed.
That's 5.
Then I went down to the Emporium and bought a shirt. They were on sale. That was 3.5. After that, I stopped in at the hardware store to get a padlock for the garage. Oh, I got a flashlight that shines red and green. That's something we need.
Oh, desperately.
What'd you say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh, I also found a set of wrenches for the car and a box of magic crystals for the fireplace. They make the fire burn all different colors. It's quite an idea. All that came to about $4.
What about the padlock?
Well, I'll pick that up next time. Then I stopped at the drugstore on the way home, and I bought some toothpaste and a can of shoe polish and some magazines, which came to a little over $2. There, you figure it up.
I have. I've been writing it down. Altogether, you spent about $15.
All right. 15? No. You must have made a mistake. I only had $10 with me. Let's see.
Gasoline, 3.5. Thorny and the sandwiches, $1.50.
Yeah, that's 5.
Shirt at the Emporium, 3.5. After that, temptation at the hardware store, $4.
That's 12.5.
And $2 and something at the drugstore. That makes it about 15. Not bad for starting out with $10. You know, some clerk must have given you too much change.
Say, that's it. That's exactly what happened. The girl at the Emporium gave me $5 too much change when I bought the shirt.
How do you know?
Well, I remember now. I gave her a $5 bill, and she gave me change for a 10. She was very busy, and she was waiting on 2 or 3 customers at the same time.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. In fact, I remember looking at my wallet and thinking I had too much money at the time. How about that? Gave me change for a 10 instead of a 5.
Well, I'm going downtown now. Why don't you go with me, and you can stop in and return the $5.
Right now, you mean?
It'll save a trip later.
Okay. The only thing, though...
I know, it isn't easy. We just have to remember it isn't our money.
Yes, I realize that. It's just...
Just what?
Do you have $5?
I'm going to shop here at the Emporium and then go across the street. Do you want to wait for me?
No, that's okay. Why don't you go ahead and I'll see you at home later.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
So she says to me, he's a swell guy, but he never wants to take me out. And I said, well, that's the trouble. Oh, just a second. What can I do for you, sir?
Wasn't there another girl working at this counter yesterday?
Oh, yes, that's Ingrid Mahoney. She isn't here anymore.
Oh. Well, I bought a shirt here yesterday, and she made a mistake.
All adjustments are made on the 3rd floor upstairs. So she says to me, what would you do?
Pardon me.
Yes?
Well, this Miss Mahoney made a mistake in the change.
I'm sorry, but all adjustments are made on the 3rd floor upstairs. So she says to me, what would you do if you were me? Here she's going steady with this fellow who won't take her out, and another fellow's dying to take her out. So what's she going to do?
Tell her to go upstairs.
I beg your pardon?
All adjustments are made on the 3rd floor.
How do you do, sir?
Oh, how do you do? Is this the adjustment office?
Yes, it is. Won't you sit down?
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything I can do for you?
My name is Nelson. I bought a shirt here yesterday, and the girl gave me the wrong change.
You're supposed to count your change before you leave the counter. There's a sign right there in black and white.
Well, yes, I know, but it happens I was in a hurry.
And we can't be responsible if you're in a hurry.
No, I only...
Now, let's be cool and practical about this, sir. How do you know you didn't make a mistake?
Well, I checked and double-checked.
Perhaps you were confused.
No, I wasn't confused. I don't get confused about things like that.
Then why didn't you read the sign? We can't go making good every time somebody says he was short-changed.
No, I wasn't short-changed. I got $5 too much.
You weren't confused. You don't get confused.
No.
Do you know what you just said?
What?
You said the girl gave you $5 too much.
Well, that's right. She did.
Now I'm confused. You say you got $5 too much?
Yes, that's right.
Then what's your complaint?
Well, I want to return the $5.
What's your racket, bud?
I haven't got any racket. I came in here to give you back the $5.
A likely story. Mr. Nelson, do you think I believe for one moment that any human being with a mentality higher than an orangutan would return money to a department store?
Now, look, I didn't come here to be called an orangutan. Here's your $5. Goodbye.
Come back here. Don't you dare leave that $5 bill on my desk.
But that's the $5 the girl gave me.
You can't leave it here. You can't.
But I just told you it's your $5.
I never admitted it. You haven't got any witnesses.
Look, all I want to do is give you this money and go home. Now, here's your $5.
Now, look, Mr. Nelson, you can't do this to me.
Do what to you?
Mr. Nelson, you look like a reasonable man. Try to see my side of it. The books are already balanced for yesterday. This $5 bill will throw them off. They'll be off for a month. For the semi-annual audit. For the yearly balance sheet. The auditors will be here at the end of the year, and here I am, unbalanced. They'll find out in a minute. You can't put anything over on those fellows. What'll I tell them? You can't leave that $5 here. You can't.
Oh, okay. If you feel that way about it, I'll keep the $5.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Nelson. If there's ever anything I can do for you in return...
No, that's all right. Just forget it.
Oh, here's a calendar. And a courtesy card entitling you to an hour's free parking.
Oh, thank you.
Mr. Nelson, it's been a pleasure to meet a man as understanding and accommodating as you.
Oh, that's perfectly all right.
And I hope you won't take it personally if I make a suggestion.
What's that?
Either count your change before you leave the counter or don't count it at all.
So I took the $5 and came home.
That's the silliest thing I ever heard of.
I argued with the man. I pleaded with him. After all, you can't force a man to accept money if he doesn't want to take it. He said it would mix up their accounting system. I even laid it on his desk, and he threw it right back at me. Oh, here's a calendar he gave me.
But why didn't you give the $5 to the girl who made the mistake originally?
Oh, didn't I tell you? She doesn't work there anymore. This is kind of a cute calendar at that.
Isn't it a shame?
This November isn't bad. Imagine skiing in a costume like that.
Firing a girl just because she gave you the wrong change.
Oh, say, that never occurred to me. You think she was fired?
Well, she was there yesterday, and she gave you $5 too much change, and she's not working there today.
Oh, gee.
Poor girl.
Well, Harriet, it isn't my fault.
Oh, I know it. It's just a shame, that's all.
Hi, Pop. Hi, Mom.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
Something wrong, Pop?
No, nothing really, David.
Well, some girl in a department store made a mistake and gave your father too much change, and she got fired for it.
Golly.
Poor girl.
Poor girl?
Poor girl.
Well, it wasn't my fault.
Well, of course not, dear. How could you help it?
Sure, how could you help it?
Why didn't you count your change?
I was in a hurry.
The girl probably had to make up the $5 and lost her job besides.
Well, Thornbury was telling me about a girl who lost her job last week and tried to jump in the river.
David, this just happened yesterday. What's What's everybody making such a big thing about this? It wasn't my fault, and I went back to the store and tried to straighten it out. Now, let's all forget about it.
Can we go out, Pop?
Certainly, go ahead.
Hey, David?
Yeah?
Let's go down the river and watch.
I got to get my voice remote for my Roku, but I can tell you that checking Roku, the television adventures of Ozzie and Harriet is available on the Roku channel, Pluto TV, Tubo TV, and a number of other pages. The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet, April 25th, 1952, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, Mike Lindell and MyPillow launching the MyPillow 2.0. Now, when Mike invented MyPillow, it had everything you could want in a pillow. Now, nearly 20 years later, he's discovered a new technology that makes MyPillow even better. Of course, the patented adjustable fill of the original MyPillow, but now with brand new fabric with a temperature-regulating thread, it's the softest, smoothest, and coolest pillow you'll ever own. Say goodbye to tossing and turning and flipping your pillow over in the middle of the night. And more great news on the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer with my promo code Wyatt. MyPillow 2.0 is 100% made in the USA, 10-year warranty, 60-day money-back guarantee. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio podcast square to receive the MyPillow 2.0 buy one, get one free offer. Use my promo code Wyatt or call 1-800-928-4715. During the break, I pulled up an episode of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. The television version of this particular episode, I don't know the date of the show, but it was sponsored by Hot Point Appliances. My goodness. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, listening to The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. This episode we're listening to was originally broadcast on Friday, April 25th, 1952. In the newspapers of that Friday, 71 years ago, these were some of the headlines. President Truman threw out a hint yesterday he may soon break his silence on the scramble for the Democrat presidential nomination and name his choice as the party's standard-bearer. The president said at his weekly news conference that he has no candidates at the present time. He repeated the phrase, "at the present time," 4 times within a few seconds, as though emphasizing he may soon pick out the man he thinks the Democrat Party should nominate. 4 avowed candidates are now in the Democrat race: Senator Estes Kefauver of Tennessee, Senator Richard B. Russell of Georgia, Senator Robert Kerr of Oklahoma, and Mutual Security Director W. Averell Harriman. Truman also said today he sent a secret ultimatum to Russian Premier Joseph Stalin to force Soviet troops out of Iran after World War II. But the White House later corrected him and said no such ultimatum ever was sent. Mr. Truman told his weekly news conference he sent Stalin the ultimatum in 1945, ordering him to get the Red Army out by a specific date. He said he warned Stalin U.S. troops would move in unless the Russians left, and that the Russian chief met the deadline. The steel industry again asked the courts today to void President Truman's seizure of the steel mills, contending that the government will shortly take action, resulting in almost incalculable damage. New challenges to the president's seizure authority were voiced on Capitol Hill as well, but Truman told his news conference he acted because the country was what he called its greatest emergency. He dismissed as political a move in the House to impeach him because of his seizure of the industry on April 8th to avert a steel shutdown. The Republican congressmen have the right to try to impeach him, he said, but he's got a pretty good defense. Western observers in Moscow believe the Soviet Union will soon make bold overtures to Tokyo to start negotiations for some kind of agreement, possibly an outright peace treaty to bring Russia and Japan into closer relations. Russia and her allies have termed the American-sponsored Japanese treaty illegal. That treaty comes into force next Monday, and the observers in Moscow feel Russia and other nations who did not sign that treaty will take strong countermeasures to keep from being elbowed out of the Japanese picture. Kansas City stood the strain yesterday as the upper Missouri River's greatest flood surged past on its way to the sea. Brigadier General Don G. Shingler of the Omaha, Missouri River Division engineer said, "I'm smiling today because it looks awfully good, but when the record flood on the Missouri is passing your door and you're sitting behind dirt, you have to be watchful." Shingler explained the Missouri carrying about 400,000 cubic feet of water a second, much less than the paralyzing flood of 1951. Last year, the rampaging Kaw River, the Kansas River, dumped more than 500,000 feet per second into the Missouri at Kansas City. Oh, and down Daytona Beach way, those absent-minded psychologists are back. The Florida Psychological Association sent out a stream of publicity about their annual convention opening this morning. Well, their convention hotel, expecting more than 100 delegates, hired extra help. Everything was set. The morning wore on. No psychologists. Seem that they're not coming in till tomorrow. Though some of the day's top news stories is reported in the newspapers of Friday, April 25th, 1952, on your radio, Ozzie and Harriet, which continues following these messages here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, here on your favorite radio station. On Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we will have more comedy. The Aldrich Family from their last season, Bobby Ellis, from April 26, 1953, 70 years ago. The Delivery Bike. Henry, played by Bobby Ellis, tries to take on a part-time job delivering for a new drugstore. And, of course, it gets to be a mess to where Mrs. Aldrich ends up having to deal with deliveries and the bike. That's coming up on Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Friday night's a big night on ABC. They had some of their biggest programs on, and on this particular Friday night anyway. You had on at 8 o'clock, you had Richard Diamond, Private Detective. You also had This Is Your FBI at 8:30, and then Ozzie and Harriet at 9, followed by Mr. District Attorney, the Jay Jostin Helms show that we played, I think it was yesterday or a couple of days ago. It was a couple of days ago, yeah. So there you go, Mr. District Attorney, but in the middle of it, The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Ozzie-Nelson had a big deal on that show, and I'll talk about it after we finish up this episode of The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. Too Much Change, April 25th, 1952.
And now let's see what's going on with Ozzie and Harriet. As we rejoin them, Ozzie's out in the backyard, staring into space, when along comes neighbor Thornberry.
Hi, Oz.
Oh, hello, Thorny.
What are you so worried about? You look as if you'd lost your last friend.
Honestly, Thorny, I can get in... No, you wouldn't be interested.
Oh, come on, Oz. Cut it out. You know I'm always interested in anything.
It all started when I went down to the Emporium to buy a couple of shirts. There's a salesgirl who waited on me.
Just a minute, Oz. Maybe it's best that you don't tell me.
Well, you asked me to tell you, so now you're going to hear it whether you like it or not.
Okay, Oz, go ahead. You were saying this beautiful salesgirl waited on you.
Yes, this beautiful Now, wait a minute. I didn't say that. Anyway, I bought a white shirt, and this girl gave me $5 too much change. I don't know why I didn't catch the mistake at the time.
I understand, Oz. You don't have to explain.
Understand what?
Fight it, Oz, old boy.
Fight what?
This mad infatuation.
Look, Thorny. All I did was go in and buy a white shirt.
It's very obvious. You don't have to explain to me. There's a bit of the mad beast in every man, but you've just got to fight it.
Oh, for goodness.
Did you read
this month's Cosmopolitan?
No, I didn't.
Well, maybe it was last month's. Anyway, there was a story there, and the parallel is amazing.
Look, Thorny.
Fight it out.
I don't want to fight it. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Did Harriet suggest that you find out the girl's name and give back the $5?
No, she didn't.
There you are.
Where am I?
Well, she understands. She sees the danger. Oz, we got to face it. Ever since the beginning of time, women have had intuition about these things. Now, you take this story I was reading in the American Weekly.
No, it was Cosmopolitan.
No, this was a different one. It seems there was this girl and this man...
Now, Thorny, wait a minute, will you please? Before you change the subject, you really think that Harriet might be a little, you really think so?
Well, if she didn't, wouldn't she be the first to suggest that you find out where this girl lives and take the money over to her? Well, she'd come right out and say...
Ozzie?
Yes?
Oh, hello, Thorny. Ozzie, I've just been thinking this thing over. Why don't you find out where this girl lives and take the money over to her?
Well, that's a wonderful idea, Harriet. Only thing is you just set women's intuition back 2,000 years.
I can't understand it.
Well, don't look so disappointed, Thorny. Fight it, old boy. Fight it. Pardon me.
Oh, what can I do for you, sir?
Well, there was a girl working here yesterday named Ingrid Mahoney.
Yes?
Well, could you give me her name and address?
Her name and address?
Oh, I have her name, but I want her address.
Say, weren't you the same fellow who was here this morning asking about Ingrid?
Oh, yes, I am.
Well, it may interest you to know she's going steady.
Well, I don't care about that.
Gee, a regular caveman.
All I want is Ingrid Mahoney's address.
Why is it as soon as a girl goes steady, all the fellas get interested in her?
Well, I don't know, but that isn't what I have in mind.
You can find lots of girls who aren't going steady. I'm not going steady.
I'm afraid you misunderstand. You see, I'm already married.
Oh. Do you by chance ever read Cosmopolitan magazine?
Yes. No, I'm familiar with the story you're talking about, but really, I'm here on strictly a business matter.
Oh, darn. Why is it every wolf I meet turns out to be a Cocker Spaniel?
Would you please listen to me for a moment? I bought a shirt here yesterday.
Well, the adjustment department...
I've already been upstairs to the adjustment department. All I want now is to find out where this girl lives so I can give her back the $5. It's as simple as all that.
Oh, yes, I see.
Good.
But if I were you, sir, I'd stick to the caveman line. It works much better with us girls.
See, that's a good idea. Now, listen, babe. You got Ingrid Mahoney's address?
Oh, yes, sir.
Give it to me.
Yes, sir. 25 Chestnut Street.
Thanks. So long, Toots.
Hyman, you're so big and strong. That's why I love you, Hyman.
Say you love me again, Ingrid.
I love you, Hyman.
Say it again.
I love you, Hyman.
Say it again.
I love you, Hyman.
I don't believe it.
Believe me, I do.
Look, if I ever catch any other guy looking at you, I will tear him in half like this.
Hyman, not another telephone book.
You see, I love you more than anything. Honest, I do.
Well, I'm very flattered to be sure, but I wish you would control your jealousy, Hyman. It's
getting to be very embarrassing.
I can't help being jealous of you. You know that, Ingrid. If only I could submerge my physical side. But it's no use. When I see another man interested in you, I just go...
Hyman, please, not the classified. Oh, Hyman.
Who could that be?
Quite sure I don't know. Come in, the door is open.
I beg your pardon. Is Miss Ingrid Mahone... Oh, there you are.
Ingrid, what is the meaning of this?
Honest, Hyman, I never seen him before.
Well, yes, don't you remember me from the store yesterday? The 33 sleeve, 16 neck?
Down, Hyman. This man is a stranger.
Well, yes, in a way, but don't you remember at the store yesterday, I gave you a 5, and you evidently gave me change for a 10. Weren't you $5 short in your accounts?
I was no such a thing.
Are you sure?
Well, naturally I'm sure. And now, if you don't mind, you have made Hyman cry.
Now, please believe me, Herman. I tell you, she was just another girl to me.
She was?
Oh, of course. It's just that to you she seems so irresistible.
You sure?
Oh, of course. To other men, she's just an ordinary girl like thousands of... Miss Mahoney!
Ingrid!
Miss Mahoney! Ow, please! Yeah?
Well, what happened?
Well, I couldn't force the $5 on her. She says she doesn't remember me and she doesn't know anything about any shortage.
Well, that's funny. How could $5 mysteriously pop into your wallet? Ozzie, what's that under your arm?
It's a box of candy for you.
Oh, thank you, dear.
Yeah, I had to chase all over town to find one that cost exactly $5. I figured it's $5 found money, and I might as well blow it in on my best girlfriend.
What a lovely thought, dear. Oh, soft centers. Isn't that lucky? Your favorite kind.
Oh, they're good, too.
Oh, yes. Ricky told me to remind you that his club is meeting here today. Are you a member or something?
Oh, no. You know how kids are. If it's important to him, he thinks it's important to everybody. I think I'll try one of those long ones now.
Oh, there you are, Pa.
Oh, hello, Rick. Here, have some candy.
Gee, thanks, Pa.
Oh, these candies are good. Oh, what is it, son?
Do you have your wallet in your pocket?
Oh, yes, I do. Why?
Remember I told you I was the club treasurer?
Yeah. What about it?
We have $5 in the treasury, and I put it in your wallet so I wouldn't lose it. Can I have it back now?
Filibuster your club for a while. Your dad's trying to cough up $5.
Well, Rick, we sure got that $5 just in time, didn't we?
We sure did. The fellows were getting tired listening to me stalling them off.
Well, you see, that shows you what resourcefulness can do. I don't like to brag, but when your old dad's up against it, you can usually depend upon him to figure out some way.
Hey!
What's that?
Oh, it's only David. I guess he just found out what happened to his piggy bank.
Heinz Company and starring Ozzie-Nelson and Harriet-Hiliard.
And remember, Heinz soups are condensed. You get twice as much soup by adding an equal part of milk or water.
That suits me fine.
Me too. I like a lot, boy.
Appearing in support of Ozzie and Harriet were their two sons, David and Ricky Nelson, John Brown, Sarah Berner, Sheldon Leonard, Paula Winslow, Frank Nelson, and yours truly, Vern Smith. Original music was composed and conducted by Billy May.
So long, folks. This is Ozzie saying goodnight for the 4 Nelsons and the 57 varieties.
Ozzie-Nelson, a very smart businessman. You have to know that the show premiered in 1944 and continued on radio until 1954. So you had 10 years on radio. Not a bad run at all. But 402 radio episodes. But here's the interesting thing. When they made their final move to ABC on radio, Ozzie persuaded ABC to give them a 10-year non-cancelable contract. They got paid whether the series was canceled or not. If ABC decided to walk away, they could. But they still had to get paid. And that's got to tell you, they became the first primetime scripted TV series on American television to reach the 10-year milestone. And that, in and of itself, is something. It's a very, very interesting story of the smart businessman that Ozzie-Nelson was. Show ran on TV from 1952 to 1966, and I can tell you the show continues. You can see it in reruns today, primarily on streaming services such as Roku. You can see it on the Roku channel, totally free. April 25th, 1952, 71 years ago, Ozzie and Harriet here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Now, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available on demand at classicradio.stream. Classicradio.stream. Stream our shows, learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me, find our social media links, and find the podcast sites that have our shows available. And you can buy me a copy. The Buy Me a Coffee money helps us acquire additional classic radio collections and keep our distribution channels up and running. That's at classicradio.stream. Thanks for tuning in. Tell all your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Have a great Tuesday.